astronaut because there's so many people, and my voice really carries. God granted me a gift. Okay, so we do need it, so that's fine. God's gift is crap. So hi, my name is Nicole. I am the community manager at Synopsis, and today I'm going to talk to you about developing developer communities. Kind of take you through the processes I went to become, working at Synopsis and building a developer community. I'm going to talk about my previous experience, and hopefully in the next 30 or so minutes, I'm going to teach you something from my past experience, something that you can take away and hopefully use in your career or in life or, whatever. Reaffirm something that you already know. So if you have kind of a feeling that this might be the right decision, I hope I can reaffirm it and kind of give you the confidence to move forward with that. And then inspire, because I'm a human being and I really like inspiring people and making them believe that they can do stuff that they didn't think they could do before. So a quick introduction to me. So hi, I'm Nicole. That's the love of my life. And then that's my husband. Shouldn't be cute. He really likes that joke. That's my cat, Tina, and my husband, Corey, who's here tonight as well. Tina's our rescue cat, and we've had her for about 3 years, and I'm insanely proud of her. And her Batman mask. So I was born in the Bay Area. I'm from Redwood City, but I've been molded by Portland, Oregon. So I'm a child of both worlds. I've been managing communities for about 7 years now, collectively. I've been doing it in kind of different fashions and different methods and approaches, and so I'll go through that a little bit later. I'm not a developer. I'm going to drill that into you guys for the next 30 to 45 minutes. I have no developing background. I can maybe HTML, like something to make it look bold, but that's about the limit of my developing capabilities. So be impressed by that, please. And my passions include fine coffee, nerdy things, and animal welfare. So I'm very big into animal rights and ensuring animal welfare. It's one of my biggest passions in life. And that's my Twitter. And this is also my Twitter right here, Obi-Wan Nicole. So follow me and we'll talk about community stuff or nerdy stuff or whatever. So my career so far. So I've taken kind of a weird, curvy path to where I am today in managing developer communities. So my first approach at community management actually came from managing a community for a band. And I want to do a quick quiz, and I want to see if you guys know who this band is. It's Hanson, yeah. So it was close, yeah. So I managed, I was one of the moderators of their community back in, I want to say 2000, 2001. Coolest job ever, because I got backstage passes and meet and greets and stuff, and I got to meet really cool people from all around the world. So that's my really random start in a community management. But it was actually my my high school project. So it was my capstone. I did a massive report on it, and it was actually something that helped me graduate high school. So community has been kind of a concrete part of like who I am today. So moderator for Hanson.net, their official website. I did a podcast book club kind of thing with my friends. Nothing official, but I did start a community there of just friends who enjoyed talking about Harry Potter and other nerdy book stuff. I eventually became a social media manager at Cleus Books and Viva Editions, which is a gay erotica book publishing company based in Berkeley. And then I went into social media management at Guide by Cell, which does technology for museums. You can see that's the start of my technology career right there. I went to community management at Maxthon, which is a Chinese web browser. And then I worked as a community manager at Imperva, which does website security and acceleration. And then I'm a manager of the Bay Area Cybersecurity Meetup group, which has over 2,600 members around the Bay Area. And now I am at Synopsis, and I do community management for them. So, and I'll talk about what Synopsis does in a little bit, but you can kind of see my curvy road to get where I am today. So again, I'm going to be talking about my time at Imperva, because I've only been at Synopsis about a month building their community. So I don't have a lot to report yet, but I did build and launch a community at Imperva. So I'm going to mostly focus on that, but I do work for Synopsis now. But I am not a developer. Just get it in your head now. I'm not a developer. So who is Synopsis? I got to plug in my company because they employ me and they let me do cool stuff like this. So basically, Synopsis builds tools for developers so they can test and make sure their software is secure and it's good for public use and there's no ability to get hacked or if it's not going to function correctly or any of that. So we provide security testing, managed services, professional services, and training. And it's a really great company. They're doing a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of stuff progressing forward with technology. So I really enjoy it. But I'm going to talk about Imperva. So Imperva was a website security company I worked at for about 2.5 years. And when I started at Imperva, there was no community of any kind. They had people saying like really nice things about them online, but we didn't have any way to harness that or use that love that we were receiving. We had people who were like who performed acts of evangelism, and we couldn't really harness that either. There was no one platform where people could come together. And I wasn't a developer myself. I was brand new to security. I didn't know what DDoS was, which is distributed denial of service, which is like a main thing in our industry. So it was something that was completely new to me. So this is kind of how I felt like in the beginning when I started at Imperva. It felt like herding cats. There were so many different directions, so many things I wanted to do, so many things not to manage, and I was just having trouble keeping track of everything. So that's how I kind of felt in the beginning. And I also really like this GIF, and so I wanted to include it in the presentation some way. So I was hired to build a community. So before I did anything, I defined what a community meant to my organization. And community is going to mean a different thing to every organization. You know, what do they want to benefit from it? What do they want to achieve with the community and with this, harnessed energy? I had to define the purpose of the community. What was the end result of the community going to be? And I defined what kind of community we wanted. So before I did anything, these were kind of the steps I had to ask myself. And I found this really great article by David Spinks, who's the CMX founder. And I actually talked to him about this, and it was a really interesting insight on exactly what is a community. So the quote is, "A community is focused on the group as a whole. Members of a community are developing a network of relationships with each other. They form a shared identity and a shared sense of belonging." And I thought that was really important, that people would come together, have a sense of belonging, and feel like they're a part of something. And they have a common goal. So for Imperva, the common goal was these guys want to protect their website. They want to be able to keep their job and make sure their website doesn't get hacked and make it super embarrassing. And then versus an audience. So an audience isn't a community. An audience would be something like Twitter or Facebook, where you're conversating with people on a one-on-one basis, but they're not talking to each other. There's no avenue for them to talk to each other. So I think that's a really kind of careful thing that you want to identify when you create a community. You want to create a sense of belonging, a sense of a group. So I had a concept, and I had an idea, and I wanted to throw it out in the world, and I wanted to see what it could make of it. So I like this GIF too. I thought it was really funny. So I had to create internal evangelism. I had to get people sold on the idea of community. In marketing, my boss was totally all about it. That was the reason why he hired me. But somebody in like product or business development or sales, they didn't know what community was. They didn't understand, the purpose of a community other than it was a chat board where people could post like cat gifs or whatever. So I went around and I talked to everybody and I said, if I were to create this, what would you want out of it? Ultimately, what is your goal? I don't know if I can achieve that goal. I'm going to try, but kind of if you could have anything, what would you have? Because the community is not just a product for one group. It's a product for the company. The community is for the company. It's not just for marketing purposes. So you kind of have to think in a grander aspect of that. So I connected with everybody and I created relationships with everybody. Even if they weren't meeting with me on a monthly basis, I still checked in with them every once in a while to see, is this right? Am I giving you something? Are you receiving something from the community? At Imperva, there were about 1,000 around the world. I'm sorry. So there were some that were in like Israel, some in here, some in the UK, some in APAC. So And so I went and I talked to my company's developer and security people because those were my audience. Those are the people that knew what kind of community I wanted to build. And they were stuck. I mean, they worked for the company. They couldn't get away from me. So I made them my guinea pigs. And I said, you guys are going to help me develop this community for someone like you. And you're going to be my guide. So, and they really enjoyed that because I gave them good swag too. So the first thing I did was I sent a survey out to our existing user base. With that user base, it was like, I didn't send to everybody in our database, but I sent to people who were active, were engaged, clicked emails, attended webinars, acted as a referral for us at some point. Some people who showed some kind of stake and some kind of involvement or desire to be more involved with the company. And so I sent them a survey and I asked them, you know, I was really, really blatant. If I were to build a community, what would your goals be? What kind of community are you interested in? Do you want a Slack? Do you want a Facebook group? Do you want like a board? I was very blatant because I needed them to be my guides and for them to kind of lead me through this. And most importantly, I asked, if I built this, would you come? You know, some people filled out the survey. They didn't want to be part of a community, but they wanted to give their feedback. Even a smaller percentage of those people actually wanted to be part of a community. So it's very important to like ask stupid questions that you might think are stupid questions, but they're totally not. They're clarification. You never want to presume anything with building a community because I feel like I wanted people to kind of guide me and tell me what they wanted. So I got really comfortable asking stupid questions, going to my security people or my developer people and asking them, should I do this? And they're like, I don't know. So it was a really good lesson in kind of putting myself out there and coming up with ideas. Even if the ideas were shot down, at least I tried. So I was building a foundation. So I was asking obvious questions to my customer base. And ultimately, I wanted to make it their community. It was our company's community for sure, but our users were going to be more involved in it. And I wanted them to feel like they were shaping and building that community, like it was theirs and they had stake in it. Yeah. It wasn't very hard for me. We didn't really have like an email manager, so I said, hey, I'm going to send this. Hey, sales, be aware of this. And I sent it. And I want to say, I think the first email I sent was maybe like 6,000 or 7,000 people. And I want to say I got like maybe 400 responses back from that. So not bad for a super cold survey. But yeah, I mean, I just gave notification. I said, hey, we're going to do this. I went to my sales team and I was like, if you know somebody and they absolutely love us, you know, let me know and I'll talk to them one-on-one. I made the email very personal. It wasn't like a newsletter or something I sent through like Marketo or whatever. It came from my inbox. So, or seemingly from my inbox. I used a system that made it look like good. And I chose highly engaged people from that group. So everybody who said, hey, I want to be part of a community, I reached out to them. I'm like, hey, let's talk for 5 minutes. You know, do you have Skype? Do you want to talk through email or on the phone or in person? And I created a relationship with these people to even create a deeper relationship because I knew that these people were going to be the founding fathers and mothers of my community. So I reached out to them and I talked to people like in Israel, in Germany, in APAC, and I just had conversations with them. And I said, hey, I want to build this. Give me feedback. I have this idea. What can I do? So I think the important lesson I learned from this is like, yes, they're developers, but you're connecting with them as human beings. You are a company connecting with your users, and you want to do it at a human level. And at the end of the day, like, that's all people want to be treated as. You know, if you're having trouble with, like, Apple support, you don't want to be treated like another customer or a dollar sign or whatever. You want to be treated like a human. And I think that goes really, really far. I still have relationships with people from communities I managed years ago, and they still reach out to me. Like, I just celebrated a birthday, and I had a bunch of people from my old community say happy birthday to me. Like, it was amazing. It was such a good feeling that I created such a lasting impression, but such a good relationship with them as well. And so you want to choose a platform that best suits you. There's so many platforms out there. You can spend no money. You can spend a lot of money. You know, it's really up to you. Do you want a reward system? Do you want members to be able to remain anonymous. I mean, for me in a security industry, yeah, like we really wanted to give people like the ability to be able to voice their opinion or voice a problem and not be identified as so-and-so, like the IT tech person from Wells Fargo or whatever. So I want to give them a chance to be anonymous. Will you be giving away gifts? Can your company give away gifts? Do you want members to interact with each other? You know, there's all these different things, but I think the most important thing is gamifying the system. People love fake internet points. It is a big thing. Like, you go to Reddit, you go to Imgur, and there are people that post and they get tons of these fake internet points. Why? What can they do with it? Nothing. They just want to say, I have 10,000 points or whatever. I had people, when I ultimately launched this community, I had people just compete for points. Like, they had a coworker that was in there, and they would try to, like, get more points than their coworker, and it was a back and forth thing. I loved it because I got more stuff done, and it made my numbers look really good, but... So, and these are more tasks to kind of perform early. So, create achievable internal milestones. So, you want to be able to communicate your community success in a way that somebody who doesn't speak community or isn't like terribly involved with the community to understand, you know, what does it look like, you know, what is this community going to look like in a week, in a month, in a year? How many tasks have been completed? How many conversations have been started? How many cases have been deflected? And set expectations, because people might say, oh, you launched a community, we're going to get 10,000 members in the first month. No, probably not, but you want to kind of set expectations that maybe we'll eventually get to 10,000 members with this plan I created. And build a cadence of reporting. And I think this is really important to shout your successes from the rooftop, because somebody from marketing, or so, like say your VP of marketing or your biz dev person or sales, they might not understand how important it is to have like 10 or 100 new conversations in a month. So you want to give it to them in a way that they can understand and they can appreciate, this was a milestone, I achieved my milestone, look at this, you know. So shout your successes from the rooftop. You need encouragement. You need a reason to move forward. And make so many mistakes. Like you, especially with a developer community, and if you don't have a background in being a developer, you know, you're going to carve your own path, and you're going to create your own, kind of your own cadence, your own relationship with these people. And I love this quote from Albert Einstein, saying the only sure way to avoid making mistakes is to have no new ideas. So come up with new ideas and kind of put yourself out there. It's the risk is always worth it. And the worst thing you can say if it doesn't work out is like, I tried. This is what else I'm going to do. And I think it's important. So build a timeline. Right now, you know, you want to build like a kind of a soft launch period where you're introducing people into the community. Because if you think about it, if something goes horribly wrong with the community, if something breaks, if something doesn't get posted, you can maybe deal with 100 people who are having that problem. It's going to be a lot harder to deal with 1,000 people if you like introduce it. So create kind of a soft launch period where you can test stuff out and test theories, and then move from there. And then also build an external and internal communication guide. So how are you going to let your salespeople know about this community? How are you going to let your business dev people know about the community? How are they going to know what to post on it? And also external communication. Obviously, you want the public to know that you created this awesome thing and to come and check it out. And then I mentioned this a little bit before, but creating a timeline, kind of build a map. What do you want this community to look like in a week after it launches, in a month, in 6 months, in a year? You know, you could be totally wrong, you could be totally off base, but you modify your timeline as you go forward, as you see like which direction your community takes. So in the end, we launched what I called the Inner Circle at Imperva. So we used a program called Influitive, which is kind of an, I don't know if you guys if you know Influitive, some of you guys might, but it's kind of like, you kind of create goals. It's like Pinterest. You create goals and say, I want somebody to leave a review on a website. I create that as a goal, and when they complete it, they get points. So it's kind of similar to that. And there's also like a chat board perspective, and there's a leaderboard, and there's gamification and stuff. And it was a really great program to use. I really enjoyed it. So we sent people to like websites like Reddit, IT Central Station, G-Crowd, and had them leave reviews and create what looked like organic buzz. The initial group of users that I allowed in were the people who raised their hands. So it was about 150 people who were part of my soft launch, and we're testing out the community and making sure it worked okay. And of those 150 people, 50% actually stayed in the community, and 20% became what I called super users. So people who are highly involved, competing with each other for more and more points, and making the community really fun and having stake in the community. And I always provided a place where they could leave feedback and remain anonymous. So I created a SurveyMonkey survey where they could fill out information and give me honest feedback, because that's what I really wanted. I didn't want anybody saving my feelings or feeling like they were going to get repercussions if they said something that was really bad. I wanted them to be honest, because honesty was what I could build my community on, not compliments. So this is kind of what our community ended up looking for. So these were all different challenges that we created. Some of them were like become an encapsulate influencer, leave feedback to the community, an introduction. You can see over here we had like a leadership board. And then this is what the community, what one of the challenges looked like. So this was just an introductory one for me. And you can see like people who completed the challenge, and people could, share their name and, create relationships and introduce themselves. So I had a community. Now what? I just walk away and leave it alone and go on vacation in Tahiti? I wish. So you want to keep the shininess of the community going, You don't want the community to get stale after a while. You want to create kind of, I created month-long campaigns to keep people interested, going by like week-by-week basis. So one of the campaigns I created was based on the Amazing Race, and so we had data centers in different locations around the world. So each week I featured a data center in a location. So, Moscow or Sao Paulo or New York City or anything like that. And I included like facts about the data center, about the city it lived, and then somehow tied it in with another, loosely tied it in with another ask. So like asking people to refer somebody or leave a review on the website. So it ended up being really fun, and people really enjoyed it. And I had weekly prizes where people earned exclusive hoodies. Developers love hoodies. So that was a really good gift. And I was always trying to create new prizes. And so I ended up creating like socks, like encapsulate socks that people loved, and they were super easy to ship because they're small. But I kept the door open. I said, tell me what you want. I'll go and I'll try to get it done. It might be a really good idea. You want to keep those in and keep, people contributing ideas. So just to kind of wrap things up, and bring it to a close, you want to define what a community is going to mean to your company. It can totally mean something different than your previous experience or, what you thought a community is. You want to talk to people internally and kind of get an idea of what does a community mean to them and what do they ultimately want out of the community. And survey your customer base. I used the survey so much when I was pitching the idea, moving forward, and trying to especially asking for money. If I'm like, I've got 400 people that really, really want a community and this is all they want, I should have the money that I'm asking for. And a lot of times it's really good at weighing decisions and kind of, getting what you want. And creating a focus group, or at least a group of highly engaged people that are going to be part of the community, because ultimately they're going to have a bigger stake in the community and want to shape the community and to make it successful. So keep those people close, create a relationship with them, even if it's like an email every once in a while, or send them like a Christmas card. Christmas cards were really, really a nice thing, or a holiday card, to say, because it's PC. And then create a timeline of events and measure your success along the way. So shout your success from the rooftop. Put it in terms that somebody who is not involved with community, or maybe not even involved in marketing, can understand. Because you want internal buy-in. You want people to see that what you're building is being successful. So this is my Twitter handle is MeLoveCoffee. This is my LinkedIn, so please connect with me because I need friends. And that's Cat Tax, and that's my cat again, Tina. So, any questions? Yeah. Yeah, so the question was, I said that, people will work towards like just getting points or fake internet points, and then I mentioned that we did have hoodies. So we did involve, at first we were just basing it on just points and whatever, and then we saw a lull in participation. So we're like, okay, what can we do to increase participation? We've got t-shirts. I can create hoodies. I can create, I don't know, socks. So we introduced that at a later stage when we noticed stuff started to kind of lull and go down. And ended up picking it back up again too. But the engagement before, like some people didn't like use their points to get any prizes. They didn't want any prizes. They actually refused the prizes. They just wanted the free internet points. So I was like, okay, one more hoodie for me. So the question was, how did I define my success, and how did I tell my stakeholders, like how did I tell my boss what was successful? So again, it kind of went back to that cadence of reporting and being able to say, and especially terms that he wanted. So number of website referrals, number of new posts on Reddit from our community members, being able, like showing how many reviews came from community members. And show it in ways that met his goals and his goals he had for the entire marketing team. So, for instance, with the G2 crowd, I sent people to the G2 crowd website. I said, okay, my goal's 30. I'm just going to throw a number out there. At the time, we had maybe 20 reviews, and I was like, we could easily get 30. I've got like 50 people who are super engaged and been completing challenges all week, and we ended up hitting like about 40 new reviews. So I was able to go to my boss and like, look, I more than doubled our numbers from before. He understood that. It wasn't like, so like I had a 6% engagement rate on the community this week. Like, that doesn't mean anything to him. He wants results, So that's kind of how I translated into terms of goals that he had in mind and was able to present to him in his own, non-community way. Yeah, so the question was how the community contributed to building a product or shaping a product. Is that right? Yeah, so one story that I have is so again, I was very close with my product team, really great group of guys. And I went to them and I said, hey, my community wants to be more involved in the product. What can we do? And he said, he was like, director of product said, well, I can show him the roadmap that I'm going to show our C-level people next week. They'll get a sneak preview and they can give me feedback and tell me if this is the right direction, if this is what they want. And so we had an exclusive session with just about 20 people from the community where they got to directly talk to the director of product, which was a big deal. I mean, he's a shy little Israeli guy, so he doesn't get out there much and he's not much of a talker, but he was able to connect with people and kind of take their feedback. I also did a lot of constant posting. It was a webinar jam. Yeah. It was kind of like a Google Hangout, but it was tied in with the webinar jam tool. And so then that was really good. I got really great feedback from the community. I got really great feedback from the product guy because he was like, I couldn't even see the angles that they were seeing. Yeah, he didn't change that roadmap, but he definitely put them in his back pocket and kind of he was going to implement them in the next roadmap that he was going to create, or at least down the road. Because the roadmap he created was pretty much set in stone, but it gave him a lot of good ideas that he can use like kind of further down the road, or something that he can introduce to his team and kind of mold and play around. We also I did constant posts where I kind of asked for feedback on stuff. So we had specific stuff, say, like app rules, which is how you made like customized rules for your website. So if you wanted to keep out certain people, if you don't want people from Russia accessing your website for whatever reason, you can block all IPs in Russia. So that's kind of what app rules were. And so we asked, how can we make app rules better? What tools can we provide? And we had a mini focus group on the community, and people were able to provide answers. And I made sure like my product guys were on there talking to these people one-on-one and providing feedback. And I think that was also a really great way for people to feel even more connected with the company. Is that they felt like they were a part of something bigger, even though just beyond just being a customer, kind of being a consultant or being, an influencer. Oh God, yeah, so many. There was a great guy. He worked for Yamaha in Japan, and he loved us. He would go out of his way to go and speak about our product at these conferences in Japan. And for our company, it was hard for us to get over in Japan and kind of reach out to that audience because it was still something we were kind of working towards. And he would just go out and he would send me like messages on like LinkedIn or Facebook, be like, "Hey Nicole, I went out to this conference, I talked to people, here are pictures," and he's like talking to this massive group of like Japanese people, and our logo's right behind him. And I'm like, holy crap, that is so awesome. He never joined the community. Even though, like, I asked him, I'm like, please, God, just join the community. You would be so great. He never did. And it's sometimes the community doesn't translate well for certain, types of evangelism. He loved going out and talking to people. He would go out in front of massive crowds and go and talk to them. He didn't really want to be involved in a community because that just wasn't his style. And it also could have been a cultural thing too, being from Japan. I don't know if like communities are a little different there, but I mean, there were people like even from New York who they were so excited. I had a guy, I don't know if I can say his what company he worked for, but it was a really big company. And he got into a corner with one of our leads, one of the major universities in New York, and they were talking at this party I created. I was like, yes, and he was like talking about our product and really selling our product or whatever. I invited him to the community. He never joined. So, but he kept getting invited to my parties whenever I was out in New York. So, yeah. It's a live community, less than an online community, and that's kind of what at Imperva I created, especially with I know this is like the online community meetup, but with the with the offline stuff with my security group, we did have a lot of people who would come that were customers, and they would come to my meetups and get a chance to meet, one of our speakers from the company or like a sales guy or somebody like that. So yeah, totally. Like a lot of, and it made me so happy to see when online transferred to offline because I would have community members come to my meetups and meet me and be so excited to meet me, and I didn't know why, but yeah. Okay, that's a really good question. So, like, the question was if I had asked different parts of the company and they were contributing to parts that I didn't even think they could contribute. I think the most surprising part was HR really benefited from the community because a lot of times they were looking for new security researchers or engineers or somebody like that. And they were able to reach out to the community and say, hey, we're looking for a new engineer or a security researcher. Is anybody interested? Here's the link. And they ended up, I don't think they ever hired anybody, but it was actually like a surprising use case that I didn't even think like we could touch those customers in my community like that. But I mean, they tried, and I don't know if anything ever came out. I did host at my security meetup group, I did have somebody get hired at another company. And I thought that was the best thing. That made my year because it was so cool. I was so glad to be a part of that and kind of help somebody progress forward in their career just by throwing this meetup and having one person meet another person. So. Yeah, really? Oh, really? Yeah, but it's always like it's you want that to happen, right? Like that's kind of like the ultimate goal. But when it actually happens, it bowls you over, and you're like, ah. So I sent him like a care package afterwards. I'm like, thanks for making me feel so awesome. Oh God. Yeah, that's one of the things they do. So the question is, how do I define synopsis's mission statement? So I've been with the company about 5 weeks, so I'm still trying to trying to remember stuff. So ultimately, I think the part of Synopsis that I work for is called the Software Integrity Group. And so what they do is they provide tools for developers at enterprise level, and help them, with security testing, make sure there's no like vulnerabilities or like the code that they're creating isn't going to be hacked easily, and just ensuring that like it's the highest quality and it's ready for production and ready for public consumption. That's kind of what I've got so far, but ask me again in 6 months and it might be a better answer. So I think. Yeah. Yeah, so it's funny so what I've noticed so far in developing Synopsis's community, I've kind of got thrown into the middle of a hurricane. Uh, oh yeah, sorry. He asked, because I've been with Synopsis in a short period, what's it been like with all the processes and building a community in a larger corporation? So they did a lot of legwork before me. They're going with Salesforce Community Cloud. Um, when I came on in mid June, the community was like a skeleton. And so I've been working with our developers who are not Salesforce developers and kind of holding their hand. I've had a really great consulting company help me and kind of help guide my developer as well as me in trying to get introduced to this community. But I mean, it's been a lot smoother, but there are a lot more roadblocks and there are a lot more like checkpoints we want to create, because ultimately it's a case deflection community. So a lot of our like solutions engineers and our support people are going to be contributing articles, but they can't post like sensitive information, like customer names or IPs or anything that's like identifying, because we'll get in big mucho trouble for that. But it's also like making sure that we're putting our best foot forward and we're making the company look good. So like correct spelling and stuff like that. And so we're creating. We had to create like barriers to kind of keep legal happy, not letting people have a free for all on the community. But I mean, for the most part, most of it was set up when I got there. I just had to learn how to actually use Salesforce Community Cloud because it's a really like extensive tool and there's a lot you can do with it. But it's been great, and we start soft launching our community next Tuesday. So if you hear like loud crying from like the China Basin, don't worry about it. It's fine. I'll be okay. I got whiskey. It's fine. But I mean, it's been great, and it's been a really interesting company to be involved with. And then I'm learning about the product in kind of a backwards, like inside out way. Um, Slowly, but I'm learning it from very much the customer perspective and from this community's perspective, rather than someone teaching me it. So. Oh God. Okay. Oh yeah. I don't want to yank anything.
So I'm building that interface, which will have icons like you've got on the Twitter feed right there.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you click on one of those, you'll get a member profile. Member profile, not unlike those cards on the wall over there. And so my questions are, you think those kinds of, what I want people to do is write a little about
Yeah.
paragraph.
Yeah.
To put on that profile. Do you think that's important for the community? And how do I get people to actually do it?
Absolutely, I think it's important because you want to develop personalities. People don't want to be friends with like the Twitter like no picture image or whatever. They don't want to be friends with the stock image. You want to people invest a little bit, but you also want to like gamify it. So if they fill out their profile, maybe they get like extra points or something like that. But I also think kind of creating the opportunity to be anonymous is also important, depending on which industry you're in. And I'm also speaking from like being in the security industry. People are really sensitive about letting out like what has gone wrong or what issues they've encountered. So I had to be very careful and make sure that people could be anonymous but still be part of the community, and like allow the people to know them kind of more on a one-on-one basis instead of just learn from like a profile, who they were, where they were from.
So I worry about this because I've noticed that in the last some number of years that our attention spans have become shorter and shorter.
Oh yeah, Vine.
And I found that people are, they, I asked a friend to look at my site recently, he put 58 seconds into it before telling me that he wasn't interested.
Oh wow. Okay.
I knew it was 58 seconds because I could see the logs on the
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
So now I'm worried that asking someone to, write a paragraph about themselves with a member profile, is that still within our attention span?
Oh, absolutely. I think it really depends on the audience too, because some people are looking more into those details. Like when I join a community, I still fill out everything to like as full extent as I can. And it also, I think it measures like how involved the community they want to be in. You know, if you're joining a community just to get one question answered, yeah, you're probably not going to fill out your profile or leave all your details. But if it's a community you really want to be involved and you really want to benefit from it, I feel like you're going to take the time, you're going to fill out your profile, you're going to be involved and give out as much information as you can. So I think it really depends on like level of involvement, but not saying like somebody who wants one question answered is should be treated differently than someone who is fully involved, because that one person still has the opportunity to be a part of a community and still contribute, just at a different level than somebody who's like wants to be enthralled in it and put in the middle. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, you guys.